Hello and welcome to Paper Plays Julie K.
Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for stopping by to check out my latest video. It kind of feels like it's been a little bit since I've recorded. I had a lot of appointments and so some doctor's appointments that I just had to deal with. So been dealing with some of that, and so I haven't been doing as much on film, but hopefully I will be back now recording a little bit more regularly. But I did want to share my thrift haul from the month of November and then part of December here now with you guys. I found a few good things, and my mom also found me a couple of good things that I want to share with you guys. So my husband and I did travel up to, it was up by Brainerd, Minnesota. He needed to put in an order. He bought a new truck last year, and he needs a topper for it for work. So we did have to go there to order one. And so when we were there, he did stop at a couple of thrift stores, but there was only one that I bought a few things from. They have good prices on there because I'd been there before and I can't remember the name of it, but they had good prices on their craft stuff, but like their clothes and stuff was kind of ridiculously high. But it's always fun to see if you can find any good craft deals. So I did find some vintage seam binding, and I picked up the colors that they had that were a little bit more pastel. So this is kind of like a vintage blue and then a purple, and this is a little bit brighter pink than what I like to work with, but it was still pink, and so I picked that one up. They also had a bunch of these, and I'm going to use these for my Christmas cards, and they're vellum, so it's already folded over. What I assume is someone had them maybe for a wedding thing. They also had the pieces of paper that you can put on the inside, which I also picked up, but I have those sitting in another spot in my craft room. I forgot to grab them. But I was just thinking for simple Christmas cards this year, I'm going to stamp something on the insert, and then down each flap, I'm just going to stamp like a border Christmas stamp in like gold embossing powder. So I did pick up each one of these packs, and I think they all had anywhere from like, 'cause I counted one of them, and I think this one, the one that had the most in it, was 50. And they were like somewhere between 25 and 50 in a pack. And so I picked up 4 of them. I'm just showing you 3 because I have another one set in my craft room that I had set out for how I wanted to lay out for my Christmas cards. They also had just some canvas. And again, there was only 79 cents for 2 canvases. And I couldn't pass that up. And then this also too was some canvas panels, and there was 3 in here, again for 79 cents. I thought that was just a good deal to have. I don't use a lot of canvas, but every once in a while I want to try doing a mixed media something. So nice to have those, you know, just to play with when you don't spend very much money on it. And then the last item I picked up, this was matte photo paper, Canon brand, which is usually a little bit more expensive, and that was only $1.59. So I thought I was really happy with my finds there. I didn't walk away with very much, but happy with what I found. And then my mom goes thrifting quite a bit, and she found this whole container for $2 at a thrift store. And it's full of, I'll pull out some of them. It's full of different types of ribbon roses, like these softer ribbon roses. I'll take these ones out just so you guys can see. Like this type of ribbon roses, along with the ones that are on the stems, like this style. And so they all were in here just willy-nilly, and when I visited her and I just needed something to do, I started organizing them into colors. So she gave me some baggies at her house. And then there was also some miscellaneous stuff. There were like some little ribbons, and then there was like these little applique things in there too. I used a few of them on a journal I'm working on for my sister that were shaped like, this one's like a zigzag, but there was like a hearts and stars, and so I did already use those. I did pull those out, but just some little ribbon bows in there. So I kind of put all the miscellaneous stuff in one bag, but as you can see, I got quite a bit of white ribbon roses. These are kind of the teal colored ones. These ones were the purple purple ones. And then there were some like this, little doily ones with the purple roses in the middle. These are the softer, I'm not quite sure what, you know, these ones are on the wire, these ones aren't, you know, and I separated those ones out because I probably use these more than the other style. These ones were all red, so there was a ton of like burgundy red ones. These ones were the other miscellaneous colors that were on the wire. So there's just some pink and some red and some blue in there. So those ones I just didn't have enough baggies for. I was mainly concerned about separating out these just softer styled ones. So there were some green ones, some pretty blue ones. This one's that I put the yellow and kind of orangey peach, and there's one gold one in there. There was a few black ones, and then here's kind of the pink ones, and they're most like more of the vintage style ones, which color pink. There's a few of the brighter pinks, but I thought my mom did a great job finding that for $2, and she just bought it for me. I had quite a few ribbon roses like this style on the wires, but the other ones I go through quite a bit when I need a little extra embellishment. I use things like this. So again, I thought she did wonderful finding this whole thing for $2. And I apologize, my alarm just went off. That's just to tell me that it's getting close to lunchtime. But I still have time to finish this video, so I'm going to finish it, and then I'm going to go up and heat up lunch today. It's pretty easy for me and my husband. We have either soup, or we have some like chicken sun-dried tomato pasta in the fridge, so we'll just see what we're hungry for. But getting back to my thrift haul, my mom also found this for $1.99. It's kind of some like bridal type trim. It's beautiful, so I thought she did pretty good on that. I'm not quite sure how much there is, but it looks close to a yard at least. So for $1.99, I think that's a great deal. And then on Black Friday, I went to a couple thrift stores where they actually had 50% off in the store, some kind of more local ones. And so I'll share with you guys what I found kind of on Black Friday for some thrifty finds. So this one was originally $4, and I got it for $2. And I guess Hobby Lobby originally had them for $19.99, and it was an Ella Blue collection. I don't really remember my Hobby Lobby ever having it, but that might have been when I wasn't shopping quite as much at Hobby Lobby and doing more of my local craft store. But I just thought the papers were so pretty and vintage in here, so I picked that up for $2. I also picked up some of these little like notebook type journals. They were each like $1, so I got them for 50 cents. But I take these apart, like see the nice lines on here, and I use these in my junk journals, you know, when you fold them up and you put them in pockets. And what I like about these is they're a little bit thicker than like the college ruled paper, but then like some of these, like these ones have a little bit of patina, they're a little bit darker. They're a little bit more aged. Plus they have a little bit of decoration, like on this one. On the corners, they have a little bit of decoration on them. Like this one's a little bit darker off-white color too, which I like that when I do my vintage journals. And then of course, if you take them apart, you can recycle and use the covers for other junk journals. So I bought all those. They were all ended up being 50 cents each. I did find some material that I thought was interesting, and the original price was $2.50, but I got it again for 50% off. And I don't know, this must be somewhat vintage, and it has a little bit of a texture to it. It's like a little bit of a puckering. I don't know what type of material. I mean, it's some sort of cotton blend for sure, but I just thought it was pretty with the little flowers in the pattern. So I picked that one up just to have in my stash. I did pick up this roll of like paper. It's IKEA paper. I don't know if you guys have an IKEA, you guys can let me know, but it's like they have a picture of a little boy coloring on it. So it's kind of like butcher paper, I suppose. But the original price was $4, and I got it for $2. And I just thought it was good just to have some extra paper around. Sometimes if you need paper where you're working, or sometimes we do have little kids come and visit. And this would be something fun I could pull out and they'd be occupied, you know, just drawing on the paper. So, so I thought that was a good deal. I do have a couple things that I picked up at a different rummage, or not rummage, but a different thrift store that's closer to my mom's. It's in a church and they're only open like 2 days a week. And I happened to be needing to kill a little time in town before I went to go see my mom just because she was gone at an appointment. But they have a relatively cheap thrift store. And so I picked up the zipper. I did that pocket junk journal where I use zippers in it. And it was only $0.25. They have it so that if things aren't labeled, it's like only, you know, certain areas, it's only $0.25 or $1. But so all the craft stuff, if it's not labeled, it's $0.25. This one I paid 75 cents for. It was just a pretty little Christmas stamp. And I love the PSX brand. So if I like the image and I see them and they're cheap at thrift stores, I pick them up. So getting back to the 50% off deals that I found. So our one local thrift store has where they have bins and they have it like 50 cent or quarter, 50 cents, $1, $1.50 doilies based on size. So I picked all these up based on that. So, I mean, they're anywhere, you know, I paid from $0.25 to, like this one I think was in the 50-cent bin, but I paid $0.25 for it because, you know, 50% off day. And I think this one also was in that same bin. And this one might have been in the dollar bin, but I got it for 50 cents. And this one was in the dollar bin because it's a little bit bigger. It's, you know, those placemats. But I like taking these ones apart and using the doilies in the middle for making flowers. And then I use the edging part in my junk journals. And then they also have some that have tags on them. And when I was looking at the doilies, there was some lady there, and I ended up talking to her, and she actually found this one for me, because she was going through like kitchen towels or something, and it was stuck in with the kitchen towels. But she was asking me when I was going through these, what I, you know, if I decorated with them or if I did something with them. So I was explaining to her about junk journals and showing her a couple of pictures. And so she thought that was kind of great. And then she was asking me, like, you know, because she actually was looking at this one. And of course I was like, ooh, I would love to have that one. But then she was saying, oh, this one has stains, so I would never use it. And I said, well, the stains don't bother me because I will like tea dye them if they bug me or whatever. But so she didn't want it, so I took it because this one was $2, so it was only paying $1 for this one again. A fun one to take apart, or you could use part of it even as a journal cover, you know, as a base layer on a journal cover, and still have ones left over to make flowers. So this one's a pretty big table runner. Some more trim. This one was $1, so I paid 50 cents for it. But this one I thought was kind of pretty. It has some little, you know, embroidery. It's, you know, cotton trim. And it has little tulips on it. So it makes some fun little pockets with that one, I think. This one's just kind of some basic lace. And it's been at the thrift store for a while, but I was just waiting for it to go 50% off if I was there. Just kind of some fun layering lace. Usually that's what I use this type for. But this whole thing, they had a price tag of $3, but I got it for $1.50. Just kind of hard to pass up when you get such a big amount for next to nothing. Again, these ones I was excited about, the off-white ones that are in here, half off, so they were $1. Just some pretty, and this is really kind of soft trim. And so there was another one, again, $2. This one has a little bit more yardage on it than the other one, and this one's exactly the same too. So I got 3 of those. And then they did have a green one for $2, and I debated back and forth, but because I don't use a lot of the brighter colors, but I am working on a journal for my sister that has green in it, and also hopefully a couple Christmas ones. And so I thought, well, it might be kind of nice because I do have some green trim, but it's a little bit wider, where this one's a little bit shorter, just to put on the edges of pages. So I did pick that one up. This one I think came from, well, this one actually was another different thrift store near my parents too. It's actually in another church. And when I was there just the other day, we went and visited it, and I didn't really find too much craft stuff, but they're only open like the first Saturday in the month. So, but this was 50 cents for some doilies, and you get 2 for 50 cents. So I thought that was a great deal on that one. And then this one actually had 3 on there for 50 cents. Well, actually there's 4, so that's even better deal. I mean, that's, again, I love using ones like this. I also like just taking off the trims on these ones because they're kind of a pretty color. And then this one was $1, and this one's just a round one. But sometimes I like to use these on the tables and stuff in my craft room, but then I also use them like when I wrap things for other people, crafty friends, because I figure they can also use them for crafting. So I like to, when I find the little bit bigger pieces like this, I like to buy them just for that. And then back to the store again that had the 50% off. This was $2 grab bag, and so I only had to pay $1. And I haven't looked at this one yet, so we can look at it together. It just was a wide variety of stuff in there that I thought was worth it. Well, this is kind of neat. This looks like maybe a collar piece. But I think I would probably be tempted just to cut it up and use them individually, because that's kind of nice. Looks like some basic trim right here. I probably already have this lace in my stash, but again, look at all that's in there. Oh, this is fun. Another little doily, which I love these ones. These little Battenberg style ones that are kind of an off-white color. Just some more trim here. Oh, it looks like there's some more appliques. I didn't realize that there was appliques. I didn't look that hard at the bag. Well, that's kind of cool. There's a bunch of those in there. So a little baggie full of those. So that's cool. Definitely worth it. This is just a little snippet or a smaller amount of, it's a double lace. So kind of cool. Another little piece of some trim, some wedding trim. So I like that. Some eyelet trim. This is kind of pretty little trim too. This one has little hearts on it. It's almost like a crochet type thread, but it's a cotton thread. But it has hearts on it. I don't think I've ever seen that one before. Another little heart doily, so that's cool. Oh, there's some more little appliques in there, which I think I saw these bigger ones in there when I was looking through the side of the bag. And then I saw this in there, which this is some Hobby Lobby trim, I think, or Hobby Lobby sold it at one point. So there's a little bit of that. Another little random applique, but more of that heart trim. I really kind of like this. This is kind of pretty. I like that. Some rickrack trim, which I really don't need any more rickrack trim. I have so much rickrack trim. Here's some braid trim in black, which I don't think I have any of that in my stash. So I don't use a lot of black trim, but every once in a while. And this is very pretty too. I had some of this that I picked up from Angel Dreams Crafts a long time ago. That was a cream color, but this is black. There's some little ribbon in there. And then here's kind of some trim with like fake coins and charms on it. So I'll set that aside for my boho journal. I'm hoping this upcoming year I'm going to slowly start working on that journal, because I've had those, you know, I've been picking up pieces now for a few years, so it's probably time to work on that journal. And then the last thing that I picked up, which really isn't craft related, but I picked up this whole bag for 50 cents, and it's just the tea light candles. Sometimes when I make flowers, and I need to like singe the edges of them, I just use tea lights instead of a cigarette lighter. So for 50 cents, I just had to pick up that. And I have a couple more minutes, so I'm just going to show this bag. Again, my mom's neighbor gifted me some more stuff. They're cleaning out a house of craft stuff, among other things, and so I went through the craft things. that they had in the stash. And so I just wanted to share that. My mom does crochet, and so she did give me her little cones because I do like to make Christmas trees out of those. But in the little stash, there was several of these little purses. Some of them I think they made, and some of them they bought like at other like craft shows because there was tags in them. And I think the lady bought them for patterns. But I thought this was kind of pretty. I could use it for some Happy Mail, but I would probably like add some little flowers or some trim on it. But I thought that was kind of fun. So there was that one, and then this similar but just different, made out of more of a cottony type trim on that one. And then this one was more like a sweater material, but similar. And there was a lot of like fibers and yarns and stuff again to go through. And I left a lot of it just because I've already picked up so much, but I'll just kind of grab the ones that I picked out. Let's see what else is in this bag. So yeah, I'll just start with those. I think just some different little fibers. So I tried to pick out the colors that I hadn't picked out before when I was offered some of the craft supplies. These are fun. I like adding these types of things to tassels, and I think I have a tassel I'll show you guys. Not this one, I was working on for my sister's journal that I'm making, but this one's all bright colors. But you can see that there's, you know, some fibers in there. So that's what I like to do with these types of thing. I thought this was pretty fall colors. This was a pretty green and gold. Same with this one. Kind of some blue colors. And then this one I'd picked up before, but I've been using it. It's more like vintage cream colors. Again, just perfect for tassels or even layering behind images in our junk journals. I use that kind of stuff. So that was in some of the fun stuff. I picked up a few more. There was a lot more of the satin ribbon, which I picked some of this up before. So I grabbed some of the colors in red because I want to try to make some little red flowers. And then I also grabbed whatever pastel colors there were. And then I also had, which I was excited about this, there was some vintage seam binding, the Hug Snug vintage stuff. And isn't that a gorgeous like vintage pink color? So, I mean, if that was the only thing I walked away with, that was like fun. My sister and one of my nephew's girlfriend was there too, and she's kind of crafty, so she went through some of the craft stuff too. That was, the neighbor had let us go through. So it's kind of fun to go through and help each other shop for what we were looking for in the pile. And let's see, another couple little fun things. So I picked up just a couple more ribbons, but not a lot. I always pick up the white spool ribbon whenever I find it, because I seem to go through that quite a bit. I mean, I have quite a bit in my stash, but I go through it. These ladies also made these beautiful little cross crocheted things, so I picked those little bookmarks up. I love those. And then they had some like little tatting type stuff, and I never, pass up tatting. So I picked, a couple of these little snowflake ones, and this one was a cross. And then just some on that they had made that was wrapped around some ribbon pieces. So I think that was kind of, let me see what else is in here that's maybe interesting. There was just some pink DMC floss, so I picked that up. And then the only other thing that was kind of interesting that I picked up for free, again, this stuff right here that I just showed you guys was all for free. These are like round magnetic clasps, and I was even thinking those purses, little things I showed you, that I could add these on there, and they're little claps that work to make magnetic things. So again, since they were free, I picked them up just to try out and see how they work. So that was kind of fun. So you guys all have to let me know what you think of my little thrift haul and little extras, what stuff you would have picked up, what stuff you would have passed on. I'm always curious if you guys have any bright ideas of what you'd use it for. I also love to hear those comments too from everybody. So thank you everybody so much, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and happy crafting.